Today is the 1st of August, 2009, and we come to a new Samyutta, number 20th chapter of the Samyutta Nikaya called Opamma Samyutta. This Opamma means simile, and this word Opamma is Pali. You see our Malay word is Umpama. Umpama probably that's derived from the Sanskrit. It's the same meaning. 20.1. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There the Blessed One said this: monks, just as all the rafters of a big house lead to the roof beam and converge upon the roof peak, and all are removed when the roof peak is removed, so too all unwholesome states are rooted in ignorance and converge upon ignorance, and all are uprooted when ignorance is uprooted. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will dwell diligently. Thus should you train yourselves. That's the end of the sutta. So, here the Buddha is saying, all unwholesome states and all evil karma that we do is all because of ignorance. People who don't know the Dhamma, they do evil deeds and suffer for it later. So it's very important to remove ignorance by learning the Dhamma. And the Dhamma means the original suttas, discourses of the Buddha in the Nikayas. 20.3 at Savatthi. Monks, just as it is easy for burglars to assail those families that have many women and few men, so too it is easy for non-human beings to assail a monk who has not developed and cultivated, here it says, liberation of mind by loving kindness. But I think probably a better translation is liberation of loving kindness by the mind, or more correctly, radiation of loving kindness by the mind. Just as it is difficult for burglars to assail those families that have few women and many men, so too it is difficult for non-human beings to assail a bhikkhu, a monk who has developed and cultivated radiation of loving kindness by mind. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate radiation of loving kindness by mind. Make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus should you train yourselves. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha says, if a monk or even anybody does not develop loving kindness, metta, radiation of loving kindness by the mind, that means your mind has to be quite strong, and so that you can radiate loving kindness. So if you are able to do that, then it's difficult for ghosts and devas, non-human beings, to assail a monk. Assail a monk means like to attack a monk. So elsewhere, somewhere else, the Buddha says that there are a lot of unseen beings around us, and if we develop metta, loving kindness, then that is our protection. They will not harm us. Firstly, those beings, deviant beings like ghosts and all that, their minds are very disturbed. They are very disturbed minds, very agitated minds. If a person can develop loving kindness to the extent that it can radiate it, that means the mind is very calm. Very calm. If your mind is very calm, then these beings, ghosts and all that, with agitated minds, they won't be able to come near you because you are a different frequency from them. So developing metta, loving kindness, is very good. 20.4 at Savatthi, the Buddha said, monks, if someone were to give away 100 pots of food as charity in the morning, 100 pots of food as charity at noon, and 100 pots of food as charity in the evening, and if someone else were to develop radiation of loving kindness by mind, or develop a mind of loving kindness here, even for the time it takes to pull a cow's udder, either in the morning, at noon, or in the evening, this would be more fruitful than the former. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate radiation of loving kindness by mind, make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus should you train yourselves. So the Buddha says, if we practice loving kindness, even for a short moment, it is more fruitful than doing a lot of charity. If someone does a lot of charity, but he has a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, then his the merit or the blessings from that charity is not so great. But if he has a lot of loving kindness, even he does not give charity, it is more fruitful, more meritorious. 20.5 Monks, suppose there was a sharp-pointed spear, and a man would come along thinking, I will bend this sharp-pointed spear with my hand or fist, twist it out of shape, and twirl it around. What do you think, monks? Would it be possible for that man to do so? No, Venerable Sir. For what reason? Because it is not easy to bend back that sharp-pointed spear with one's hand or fist, to twist it out of shape, or to twirl it around. That man would only experience fatigue and vexation. So too, monks, when a monk has developed and cultivated radiation of loving kindness by mind, made it a vehicle, made it a basis, stabilized it, exercised himself in it, and fully perfected it, if a non-human being thinks he can overthrow his mind, that non-human being would only experience fatigue and vexation. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate radiation of loving kindness by mind, make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus should you train yourselves. That's the end of the sutta. So here again the Buddha is saying, if we can radiate loving kindness, then our mind is very strong, and a non-human being would not be able to overpower our mind. 20.6 At Savatthi, the Buddha said, monks, suppose there were 4 firm bowed archers, trained, dexterous, experienced, and standing in each of the 4 directions. Then a man would come along thinking, I will catch the arrows shot by these 4 archers in each of the 4 directions before they reach the ground, and then I will bring them back. What do you think, monks? Would this be enough to say, that man is a speedster endowed with supreme speed? And the monk said, Venerable Sir, even if he could catch the arrow shot by 1 archer before it reached the ground and could bring it back, that would be enough to say, that man is a speedster endowed with supreme speed. There is no need to speak about the arrow shot by all 4 archers. And the Buddha said, monks, as swift as that man is, still swifter are the sun and moon. As swift as that man is, and as swift as are the sun and moon, and as swift as are the deities that run before the sun and moon. The vital energies perish even more swiftly than that. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will dwell diligently. Thus should you train yourselves. It's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha says, this Vital energy that I translate here. Here the book says vital formations. The word is Ayu Sankara. Ayu is life. Sankara can be said to be conditioners. Life conditioners. Life conditioners is our vitality, our vital energy. So the Buddha is saying, swifter than that man who can catch the arrows are the sun and the moon when they move in the sky. But swifter than the sun and the moon are the deities or the devas that fly before the sun and the moon. And faster than all of them is life passing by, one life after another lifetime. It's like a dream going by so fast. If we think about it, we think about our childhood. We think about childhood, I think like just yesterday only I was a small boy or a small girl, 10 years old. Then suddenly now I am old already, white hairs on my head and all that. Not much time left. So, just like that. That's why when the Buddha recalled his many past lives, so many thousands of lives, so many world cycles, then he realized that he had been through so many stages of life, so many existences, all the different type of existences he had gone through. And he had been a world, universal monarch, a king that rules the whole world a few times. And that was, among human beings, the best life. And so he was a bit sentimental about it also when he thought about that life, which was so pleasant. In fact, he was so sentimental about it. Then when the Buddha was about to pass away, he purposely went to that spot where he used to be the king of the whole world. And he passed away there. And then Ananda asked him, Bhagava, there are so many devotees in the cities. We'll be very glad to see you. Why you come to this way out place to pass away? And the Buddha said, don't say this a way out place. Long time ago, there was a wheel-turning king, this wheel-turning monarch, king of the whole world, universal monarch. He said this was his capital. I said he used to be that king. So I consider actually life passes by very fast. That's why the Buddha says in the Suttas that there are devas and devis whose lifespan is millions and millions and millions of years. But when it's time for them to die, then they think, oh, my life is so short. Still haven't enjoyed enough. That's why the Buddha says life goes by so fast. 20.7 at Savatthi, the Buddha said, monks, once in the past, the Dasarahas had a cattle drum called the Samana. When the Samana became cracked, the Dasarahas inserted another pack. Eventually the time came when the Samana's original drumhead had disappeared and only a collection of packs remained. So too monks, the same thing will happen with the monks in the future. When those discourses spoken by the Tathagata that are deep in meaning, supramundane, dealing with emptiness are being recited, they will not be eager to listen to them, nor lend an ear to them, nor apply their minds to understand them, and they will not think those teachings should be studied and mastered. But when those discourses that are mere poetry, composed by poets, beautiful in words and phrases, created by outsiders, spoken by disciples, are being recited, they will be eager to listen to them, will lend an ear to them, will apply their minds to understand them, and they will think those teachings should be studied and mastered. In this way, monks, those discourses spoken by the Tathagata that are deep in meaning, supramundane, dealing